Today we have Nozipho Tlali attorneys, and we have also Phenomenal Women, which is represented by Mrs. Tato Mokotu. We also have Melty Training Institute. I see they haven't joined yet, along with ND attorneys. And we have our own host, who is Mr. Yabela Tlali, as we all know. So can I just ask that just for a couple of seconds, we all just switch on our videos. I just want to see everyone, and I like to interact as I'm talking. Otherwise, I'm not sure if you all can hear me or I'm just talking to the wind. I'm just gonna wait for everyone to switch on their videos. Thank you so much. Hi, Simpiwe. Hello, Ella. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for switching on your videos for me, and you are most welcome. Okay, so Mr. Yabela Tlali is a husband. He's a father to two beautiful kids, Olwake, and oh, my warrior. I call her my warrior. Her name is Liza Tlali. And also he is a businessman. He is a personal and financial planner. He has been in that industry for 16 years now. He is also a property advisor, and he's been full-time in property for 13 years now. Mr. Tlali has also done advisory interviews on 3 national radio stations. He has also been on TV as a property investment advisor. He has also been in the US for close to a year. He was doing property deals that side, and he has also done over 3 international deals, property deals in 3 different international countries. Mr. Tlali is also, just when I wrap up quickly, Mr. Tlali is also the CEO of YDT Group. YDT Group is actually subdivided into 4 companies, which we will talk about as we go. I'm sure so many of you have seen our social media posts, so for the sake of time, I'm just gonna pause there. I also wanted to let you know that today we want to keep the webinar to an hour, so from 12:30 until 1:30. And also there'll be different subtopics that we'll be discussing under today's topic as an umbrella. And in between, Mr. Tlali will be having Q&As for the sake of time. So the previous webinars, we were doing it in such a way that there's questions at the end. But now that would take too much time, so we've changed it that way. And moving forward, that's how we are going to do it. So please keep commenting on the section or keep raising your hand as we go. And when we have those short breaks, that's when we will take questions. Please also look out on the comment sections. I'm going to keep leaving comments there under YDT Group. I'm going to leave our YouTube channel link. I'm going to leave our Facebook channel link and our email address so that it's easier for you to find us should you need to. Thank you. And I'm now going to hand over to our host and our speaker, Mr. Yabela Tlali. Thank you.
Hi, thank you, Metiamo. Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, I know your videos are off. I know your videos are off, and you can see me, and hopefully my smile will brighten up your day as well. Listen, we're gonna get right straight to it. You know me by now. I don't beat around the bush. I get straight to it. We have a different topic today. Please, let's tell everybody, to make everybody aware that every week we have a different topic. Things will not remain the same. We will not keep to the same topic. We just keep the same headline, but everything will be different. Some of the things we will go deeper to the things that we've gone into previously, and then we'll also touch on other things. And like Tiamo has already said, we are going to keep the webinars shorter, an hour, and if possible, even keep them shorter and shorter, so that we stick to one topic, but then we dig deeper into that specific topic. Look, property purchasing, development, investment, anything to do with property, it's got tons and tons of topics. And what happens is, as they say, the devil is in the detail. So what happens is most of the information on ways to do things better and effectively is always in the detail. And that detail is the one that we, through these webinars, are going to get into, because we are not going to be, should I say, creating or developing new property investors that are just doing things by the way. We want to create the best. And unfortunately or fortunately, without sounding bringing race or political into it, we need Black people to get into it and do it better and do it best. It is the reality, it is the truth that in most banks, I'm being politically correct, I actually want to say all banks, do not easily finance Black people mostly when they buy commercial property. It is only when you buy your flat, your residential home and whatnot, and even then the interest rates are different. But we can find, today we are sharing a way that we can then shut up the mouth of anybody and be the best and get the best deal. And today's topic is basically all about the credit record. The credit record, or maintaining a healthy credit record. Why did we choose this topic today? Simply because we are getting feedback and we are giving whatever it is that we picked up as the need next from our people or from you. Now we've checked out the overall, even that was still not in detail. We still have checked out the overall how and when and where to look for the deal and how the deal must be. We've checked out previous things previously, what's the process, who's going to be involved. We've checked out everything. And as a result, you have now decided to start acting on buying properties. Now, I then realized that if then we are already starting to act to buy now, which we are going to do, and I'll tell you why we need to buy now the most. I already said that previously, but I'll say it again today. So therefore, we need to make sure that you are ready and gear up, and you know what needs to, how best you can do it now immediately. Now, the market, I'll give a lot of examples. There will be not too many slideshows today. We will just be talking, so it's going to be back and forth. There will be spaces for Q&A, and there will be all the talk, okay? So we start with it. How does it go with credit records? Credit record is basically your, in layman's terms, your track record. We can even go further and say it is your financial behavior on how you handle things in your finances. I've done a lot for many years, I think 17 years now, I've been doing financial planning for people. And for financial planning, I've picked up one or two things. Every time when I stand up and I'm about to present to a group of people or leaders, business leaders or political leaders, the first question I ask everybody is, if I were to walk into your office and you had a bank statement on your desk on the left, and at least I know kids here, and you have your underwear next to it on your right on the table, and I walk in, which one would you hide first? And almost 100% of the time, people first thinking response is, I would rather hide my bank statement first. You've seen an underwear before, and underwear is nothing new or different. Now, it then creates and confirms that financial matters are extremely close to all our hearts. It is one of the things that we keep close, even in relationships. We keep our financial matters close up until marriage. And even in some marriages, the spouse does not know what the other spouse is earning and how their credit looks until they have to do something together. So we understand that. And that is why we thought the credit record, let's rather teach and bring everybody up to speed and make them understand what is a credit record, how does it work, how do the banks use it, how then can we use it as well for our advantage now as the buyers, that we can then be able to use it effectively to create good deals and more deals. Okay, now here is the credit record. A credit record, I'm just gonna go straight to it. I'm gonna show you guys a credit record. And with that credit record, I am going to show you how it looks and how good or how bad it affects your credit or your purchases. And then we'll discuss it afterwards. I'm just going to go through it, explain how it looks and everything like that. All right, let's go. This thing must allow me to share my screen. And there it is. Oh, yes. Aha, thank you. I guess we can all see it now. All right, thank you. Now, a credit record is basically your financial behavior history that is recorded through different types of credit bureaus for the services or the purpose and the benefit of the credit providers so that they can check your behavior. Now, there are different types of credit bureaus that are currently in South Africa. It's a lot. Previously it was just 2, now it's over 6. But the main one that is mostly used by the banks is Experian. Experian is the one that is mostly used by the banks. So when you check your own credit record, most of the time, please use Experian because most banks use it. There's only one bank that uses TransUnion. All the other then credit providers, which is for the clothing accounts, cell phone accounts, they use different credit bureaus. But for now, because we are talking about property, we will stick to Experian. So here in front of you, you are seeing an example of a credit report that is done by Experian. And this one, if you see on the top left, it says bad report. So this one is a bad report. It's not even a worse report, it's just a bad report. And this is an average report that they issue there. All right, now the first page, just the cover page. The second page, they with all the important, the personal information, which is what you also need to check and confirm it is always correct. And the personal information is also one of the ways that you get to see if you have been, your identity has been stolen. There's a lot of identity theft. So when you do give your documents, you must give them to an accredited company, accredited people, and for a specific service, because then that's how most of the time should I say, identity theft happens. And these people, the only reason they do identity theft is just to can be able to open accounts and access credit facilities using your personal information. So when you check your personal information, you keep checking it if it's okay. Try to keep it as accurate as possible. Also in personal information, I'm also showing on things that also the creditors look at. Also try to keep to one address or as few as possible residential addresses as possible. Of course, if then you are moving around because you haven't bought your home, nothing wrong with that. But if you can, maybe use your family address for for any application, so that at least you know you can keep using it, and then you can change it to your own property address. Unless they are too far, of course, for the sake of delivery of certain documentations, then you can use where you are residing. All right, now, then it comes your credit scoring. Now this credit score, this person's credit score is 595, okay? And it's 595, and if you look at the chart is basically saying here under poor, it's black, which is between 333 and 600. And this 595, which is on the top right, falls under the 600, which is the first score. Now, what happens here is you can also have a 0 credit score here on the top right. And when you have a 0 credit score, it simply means you have no credit activity that has ever happened before in your life, number one. Or secondly, you have opted to place yourself under debt review, or you've placed yourself under administration. Those are the only two credit, should I say, rehabilitation or rescue processes that a natural person, which is a human being, you and me, can use or can do that can then stop any form of credit activity. And the reason that they put it 0 there is because they now are saying to the creditors or the credit providers, other creditors, this person cannot access credit because they are under debt review or under administration. So, and when you are there, you cannot access credit at all in any form whatsoever, except of course through the illegal processes or the non-registered and with NCR credit providers. But I would not encourage for you to use that. Doesn't matter how desperate you are. All right, let's go back. Now, the poor credit score is where the 595 falls under. Now, that credit score can vary from many things. I'm sure you can see it's from 300 to 600. And that is unfortunately where most South Africans are, by far, by a big number. I don't want to share the stats because I have not seen the latest stats because of during the lockdown. But here is where most South Africans are. What does then that mean for you as a property investor or a purchaser? What then that means is, back to what we had said the other day, that it is a buyer's market in general, currently right now. In actual fact, it has become the best buyer's market there has ever been in many years. I'm still researching how far back has it been this good. But my suspicions already, it's at least 4 or 5 decades where it was this good in terms of being a buyer's market. And why am I saying that? Right now, the current interest rate, it is 7.75%. It is the lowest it has been in decades. At the same time, the economy is not good, meaning the jobs are being lost, meaning the multiple property owners are selling, meaning people cannot pay their bonds and they have to sell their houses, meaning people are being retrenched, meaning many things. And therefore, what normally happens previously, and that's what makes this one unique during this lockdown, is that previously when there would be a financial market crash, it would be all these other things, but the interest rate would go up, because the banks would use that then to be able to absorb the market pressure that they are enduring during that time. So now the interest rate is down, the repo rate is down, meaning the inflation is down, and it is the economy is also very bad currently. So now, which then means there is fewer buyers. On top of it being a buyer's market, there is now even fewer buyers. Now, what I've just learned recently is that the banks have also now decided, behind closed doors again, to then consider most applications that are in the good level, which is between 621, 640 minimum, but the ones that they really entertain right now is 641 to 680. The ones at good, they are now, what they do, they give offers to say maybe we will only finance 80%, 90%, what so forth. But the ones at 640, and I can tell you right now with I said I'll make examples in between. The ones at 640 to 680 are getting great deals, great bonds, and quick response from the bank. Anybody below that, they are taking long. They are delaying the process because they all, at every turn, they want to see what is the next step that the government is going to take. How is the economy right now? How is this at this very moment? So the banks are as more involved as they've ever been in terms of approving home loans. Now, when you are at 640 and above, we submitted a home loan application yesterday for a certain purchaser, and it was approved this morning. We submitted it after 3. We already have 100% approval because this person is over 640 and up, and they got 100% approval. Now, just to make an example, how it also worked with this specific person, I of course will not divulge information. This specific property was bought by the seller, the seller who sold to our client, was bought by the seller for 670,000 rands in 2013, late 2013. And because of the current market, and we've been telling our seller, our purchaser, just wait, we are busy building up something for you. And when it was time to hit, we hit. And she just got the property for 650,000 rand 7 years later. Now, I don't know if you've done normal straightforward deals like that in the recent history, where you buy a property that below what it was bought for 7 years ago, and you're buying it with the lowest interest rate. So what she is going to pay now is less than what the previous person who has been living in the property for the past 7 years ever paid, even at the beginning of purchasing the property, regardless of the interest rate at that point in time. Because this has been the lowest rate it has been in a while, unless, of course, the previous seller had different types of rates, which we'll get into as well, different benefits that you can have with different types of rates. Now, all we are doing right now with our current clients and people that are coming into us, We are then working on the credit record in such a way that we get it good or we get the best deal now. Now, what is the difference between the two? It's good if you get the best deal and the best rate now, just like our client I made an example about. Now, it then is different when you get the best deal, but not the best rate. What happens is when you get the best deal, not the best rate, we still take the deal. Because the deals right now are just good. Now, what then happens with the rate, we can then work the rate later. We work the rate later. With all banks, you have an option and a possibility. The banks afford you every 3 months. You can go back and negotiate your rate. And now what will then happen is if you take the deal now, the rate is not the best, no problem. It will depend as time goes by later, but if then your credit record gets much better, you can even get a better rate. Okay, let's continue. I'm sure you can tell I am very passionate about this process. All right, there they are. They are defining rather, giving definitions of what score means and what means. And then here's the credit summary. This is what the banks look at the most. They start looking at this here. After they've seen your credit score, then they come here. On the left, you'll see it says adverse data, which is now the listings, the adverse listings against you. So this particular person has a bad record, and even to make it worse, they don't even have an adverse listing on the right and on the left against their names. These people have this person rather does not have a judgment listed against their names. There you see on your right under credit details, judgments, it's 0. All these negative listings, it's 0. The default, it's 0. Collections, 0. Yet this person's record is not good. And what could cause that? It can only come down to one thing: the management of the accounts that are there. So you do not have to be listed to have a bad record. You can have a bad record by just not managing your accounts properly. Okay. Now, if you check under adverse listings, then we come to micro lending accounts. Micro lending accounts, this mostly works with personal loans, and this the small personal loans, and this also mostly works with clothing accounts, but it works with a limit amount that is there. Now, different credit bureaus use different amounts, but I will not even go into that because you will never need to actually deal with it being on micro lending. You just need to know and see what happens there. Now, one thing that affects many people, which falls under micro lending, is what happens is it's a strategy that people thought it works, but it totally works against them. What people do is that if they've got a shortfall every month, then they take a temporary personal loan that is offered by the bank at the ATM every month, or they go to a specific a loan or credit provider that gives loans, and then they take the loan, pay it off at the end of the month, take another one when they're short, pay it off at the end of the month, take another one. So what that does, where it says micro lending and the number of accounts, it takes them, I'll show you now at the bottom, it takes them very high, that you have a lot of active accounts and they open and they close. Now, people normally think that does not affect their credit record because it's only less than a month and I paid it off. But what it says to the credit provider, excuse me, thank you. Excuse me. What it says to the credit provider is that you have a shortfall. You are having financial troubles. You will not be able to afford or keep up with what you are asking for, even more so for 20 years plus. So then they do not then approve you, and it drops your score tremendously. So how best can you do that? You take a credit card or an overdraft. A credit card, you can take money as and when you need, and you can pay it off. And if you pay it off in less than 30 days, you don't pay any interest, the same as overdraft. Now, and those ones, they are registered once with the credit bureau. They are part of these accounts, which we are getting to now, and they don't go back and forth. So they don't show how much, they just show the amount that you've spent. All right, I am going to pause here for now. Are there any questions? Tsiamo, over to you, if there are any questions so far.
Okay, thank you. And once again, I would like to welcome everyone even those who perhaps joined after I had already done the introductions earlier. So far, on the comment sections, there isn't any questions except the comment from Mrs. Tato Mokotu, but I believe that she's already attended to by one of our agents. Okay. I think we can allow, if I'm not sure how you think, Mr. Tlali.
I think perhaps we can allow,
perhaps allow 10 more seconds, 5 to 10 more seconds. Maybe yes, someone please. Is still typing.
All right. Or they can even lift up their hand and you can open their mic and they can talk.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
I think no questions. Let's continue. Excellent. All right. Now we then go a bit further down. Now we're going to the, they call them SACRA accounts. I will not bother you with certain details, some of the things that you don't really need to know. This, if you check these two SACRA accounts, you remember we were at the summary of all accounts. So these ones are going now to say the accounts and how much you are paying, the number of active accounts under summary of all accounts, the balance of the total exposure, the monthly installments, and total monthly overdue. Now, you may see the last one, total overdue balance. This person does not even have an overdue balance, yet the credit record is 595. How is that for the banks or for the credit bureaus being strict on credit record? However, there are ways of improving it. Now, if you check here, it says number of active accounts, 5, number of closed accounts in, then it's 0. This is where then that thing that we spoke about of many short-term loans. It comes there, it will say many number of closed accounts, 10, 15, depending on what you have done. And the same thing reflects when you have to consolidate your debts, close off accounts, pay off debts quickly so that you can, because you want to start investing. Those accounts still appear here as the number of closed accounts. And then from there, the credit provider goes then deeper to check which accounts, when did they close? Was there another amount taken to close those accounts? Was there anything else that was done? Because they are watching your full behavior. They say, show me your friends, I'll tell you who you are. I say, I just want to see your credit record. I will know everything, the full history about you. Because then it shows what activities were there. It shows everything that was there. All right, let's go further. Now it says on total exposure, 1.1 million. What then this means is, this is the total debts that this person has currently. And they use the word exposure because it then gets them to start to think, this person is exposed for so much. How much more? There are calculations to work out exposure. How much more can this person be exposed to and still be able to afford to pay, to make payments on all installments every month? And that's where they look at it mostly. And now we're going back to say, you take that credit card. You take that credit card, you go back to it as and when you need money. You pay back before 30 days, you will not pay interest. Now, there's an element that is also very important. Do not take a high amount credit card. Most of us fall for this. I fell for it as well when I started to work. Mostly when I started to get into different types of bankings. Now they invite you to bank with this, they invite you, and then they give you the maximum that you qualify for. And that has been the biggest challenge or downfall for most people, because they want to hear, how much do I qualify for? No, that is not the question that you should be asking, because it should be the other way around. One, how much do you want? Or how much do you want to pay every month to repay whatever it is that you are applying for? Not how much you qualify for. Because then let me make a practical example so that you can understand what it does to you psychologically. You walk into a dealer, you are going to buy let's say a BMW. You walk into a BMW dealer, dealership, you're going to buy their entry-level car. I don't know which one it would be. It might be a Mini Cooper, it might be a 1 Series. You are there to buy that car. and you have made up your mind, I'm going to build my property portfolio. Yes, I need to upgrade my car, so I'm just going to buy the best brand that I like, but the minimum in that brand. You get there, and then they say, oh, by the way, sir, did you know that you could qualify as well to buy an X5? Now, let us be honest, ladies and gentlemen, between you and me. When you hear that and you know you can afford it, and they say you qualify for it, remember, you went with a plan. Will you not honestly be tempted to change your plan a little bit and want to go for the X5 with a full plan, a full service and maintenance plan, and we can buy it back from you? They make the deal so sweet that you actually fall for it. That is why you need to decide in advance how much you want to do and how much you want to spend. Mostly when you are getting credit, that is not an asset. That is not, you are not buying a property. That becomes then very crucial. So they look at your exposure and they see how much you can afford and how much more can it do, and then they look at your monthly installments. How much are your current monthly installments? Now let's go back to the credit card example. You have taken a credit card and your maximum limit is 50,000. And right now you have been so disciplined, you've only been using only about 3,000. You've only been using about 3,000 for the last 5-6 months. So discipline is not a challenge for you. But here's where it will catch you off. What then they do, they look at your exposure, and then they look at all your credit limits, and they look at, in the limits, how much it is that you would pay if you were to use the whole 50,000 credit limit that you have on your credit card. Now, they will not count on how much you are using now, because you can at any day use the whole limit for the credit card. You can even use that the rest of 40-something thousand to furnish your house after you've bought it. But now then it might put you in a compromising position afterwards. So what then you do, you open a smaller amount. Even though you qualify for 50,000 in your credit card, you only do for 3,000 or 5,000 that you need, so that your exposure is not too high, and that your possible monthly installments are also not too high, which then will then increase your chances of affordability when the bank approves you. There are two ways that the bank approves you. We'll get into that on another webinar, but I just want to understand for the sake of this. The bank first approves you personally in terms of your credit record, and then they approve you in terms of your affordability. If your credit record is bad, they don't even go to affordability because they can't finance you. But if your credit record is good, then they check on your exposure. Can you afford that which you are currently now applying for? You understand? So those are the two things. And that's where then when you have higher limits, you get challenged with. But now when your affordability is high, because you've minimized the amount that you have taken, your limits, then what it does, you can even then qualify for even a bigger amount than what you actually qualify for when they do calculations. You understand? So it puts you in a better position. You can now even start to negotiate the rates. Now, these are the different accounts that this person has. This inquiry was done by Standard Bank. This person, you see, on the left, it shows the dates when you are doing inquiries. The more you're doing inquiries, the worse it affects your credit record. There are rules that are there that you are not really told or that are not communicated, that systems like this, like the credit bureaus, the banks are using to check. You are only allowed up to 3 per month, 3 credit checks per month that do not affect your credit score. The moment your credit checks exceed 3 in 1 month, it drops your scoring. Because it simply says to the creditors or credit providers, you are credit hungry. Your appetite for credit right now is high. So therefore, after they give you, you might take another one. Or you might have taken another one just before you came to them and it is not yet appearing on your credit report. So don't take as many credit scores as you can. That is why we always recommend, yes, also because we have it, you use a bond originator. Come to YDT, we have an in-house originator to pre-qualify you for a house. Don't go to ABSA, to Standard Bank, to this, because then you are going to exceed your number of credit checks per month, and then it's going to drop your scoring. By the time you finally apply, your score is dropped and you don't get to enjoy the benefits of a good score. So go to one person or one credit provider, and then they'll be able to do everything for you. You understand? All right. And then we move on as we go. Those are the, now we get to the credit profiles. Now it shows now the details. You remember I did say that the accounts that you've closed and the accounts that you've paid off, and they show. Now on the right, on the last column, you'll see it says account status. On the account status, that's where it shows up if the account was closed and opened, if the account is still active, open and current, or if the account is paid up, like this one you see on the 18th of February, that's where the last balance was given, and the account was paid up then, which is the identity account. Now, before then, this person had last paid the account in October. Are you already seeing what I'm saying? So then that what then means, that's what one of the things that have affected this person to not have a good credit score, because the last payment they made was in October. They skipped November, they skipped December, they skipped January, and they came and they closed their account in February, 4 months later. And to them, they think it's not going to affect them because now the account is paid up. But because there were many gaps in this account, it's one of the things that is affected. And yet, it is closed. And this is not owing. And this person, look now, they've got a car, 635,000. They've got a loan, they've got a MasterCard, and they do not have a property. That is one of the main reasons that drops the credit score when you've got a big exposure, because you do not have an asset in the eyes of the banks. You do not have anything that, if then things were to go wrong, you were to lose your job or you were to lose your income, they would fall back to for them to pay. So therefore, then that means then you are high risk, because this person's activity as it stands now, it means then this person is standing at over 1 million in credit, but none of them is an asset that is growing or that they can attach based on its appreciation value. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now there's a loans, there are credit cards, there are certain things where these things needed. Chances are yes. You understand? We understand the plight, Tina amongst each other, we understand the plight of a black child. We understand black tax, we understand you must finish your mother's house, we understand you need to do these things. But unfortunately, the financial systems are not made to accommodate that or to accept or tolerate such. So, but nonetheless, there we are. Then we keep going. We will not go into detail then. I'm just going to show you here what then, how then the creditors see how you are paying your accounts. This is a summary of their account profile. You see they said account payment profile history, legend. Now they use these codes in each account. Okay, means account is up to date, 30 days, you're 30 days behind, and all those days up till 150, that means you're in areas with that number of days. A means you have absconded, and all those letters, they explain them what they mean over. Now you come to the bottom right of that same column, the next column, or rather row, it says not paid up and it starts to be black. They then put all those terms there. They put those in your credit record. You might have lost that house and it might have been sold at even higher the price than you bought it on auction, or it might have given you profit, but it will still remain, it will give this repossession, which is J, on your credit record, which then is meant to warn the new credit provider that this was what happened previously. Now, if your credit record is good, credit score is good, but you still have a J, then that's when then they will ask for motivation. Please motivate the bond. Now, people that do private banking and all those types of banking, private, black card, and all those things, they've got the benefits of should I say, of motivation on their applications. Now, when you are not with those levels, the system automatically kicks you out. So don't listen to the people that tell you, don't keep a black card, it's just a show off, you're paying too much for your private banking or for this. Keep them. Keep them, because you do not know when and how you might need them, because there you are dealing with a person that, because you get assigned a private banker or a personal banker just for you. Therefore, then they are able to negotiate deals for you. I will just make an example about one of our testimonials just about last week. This person is with private banking, and this person has been invested some properties, and they have a portfolio that's growing. It's about 4 or 5 properties now. And then they had a deal. that they needed to put through. They bought now during the turn down of the market. They saved 250,000 on the purchase price, and they went to the bank. And the bank is giving them prime minus, which is 7.5 minus. So this person is literally going to pay half of what another normal person would have paid, let's say 5 months ago, when the interest rate, or rather before that, let's say a year ago, when the interest rate was above 10%. Because now this person is going to be charged basically almost 6%. So those are the benefits that you don't get told, that you do not know. So use your banker. Let them do the things. Now, those are the details of this credit record. Now, any questions before we move on to another credit record?
Okay. All right. So far, it still seems like no one has any questions. I think everyone is following up well. There's no hand up. There's nothing on the comment section.
I think I have a question.
Yes, Kani.
Okay,
You
thanks.
can go ahead.
Okay. So, Senator, you spoke about paid up accounts and closed accounts. What's the difference between those two? As in, if and how do they reflect on one's credit score? So then, say one has you spoke of the identity account. So then one has an identity account and they maybe decide they want to close it, or they want to pay it up. Which one would you recommend? And yeah, how does it all reflect on one's credit score?
Okay. Look, with the difference between paid up and closed account. Closed account, meaning you are not going to have access to it anymore. You paid whatever you owe. You cut the bank card. If it's a credit card or a clothing account, you cut the clothing account, you threw it away, you are not going back. That account is closed. When you want to go back and take clothes again from the same clothing shop, you then have to apply for a new account if you want to buy through account. A paid up account simply means it is not owed at all. It is paid up, you have finished paying it, but does not necessarily mean that you have closed it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Which means then you could possibly go back and continue to do what you do. So in terms of exposure, they then go back and look, what was the credit limit before the account was paid up? Because it is still open, that then means there is a possibility of this account being activated again by this person. Now you do that when you don't want to be opening and closing accounts for the sake of the credit record. But in terms of affordability, it might also come against you later. So whichever way you do it must be based on your planning and advice, based on your goals that you are doing at that point in time. I hope that answers you, Kani.
Okay. Yeah, I think it does. Okay. I think it does. But then, okay, yeah, I think it does. If I have any more questions as you continue, I'll then pack it for later.
All right. Over to you, Madam
Is there anyone else? Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who would like to ask a question? You are open to just speak. Unmute your mic and go ahead.
Okay. I think there are no further questions.
Yes, over to you.
All right, thank you. Now we're going over to the good credit record, okay? It's one of the very good credit records that we're about to touch on right now. That's personal cover page, first page, we already know that. Now we come to the personal information, we've already discussed that. Now we come to the credit score, and then voila, 664. Now this one is very good according to the table. That then means this person's credit record can get them good things. Let's keep scrolling further to see what do they do for them, or how are they handling their things. Ooh, there you are. Now this person, No adverse listings, of course, both left and right. No micro lending, of course, both left and right. Then when you go down to SACRA, payments last 12 months, on all PPs in the last 12 months, payments are up to date. So this then simply means this person has been paying every month on time the amount that is needed, or even more. And this person has 4 accounts. Now let's discuss that a little bit. Does the number of accounts then affect your credit score? Absolutely not. As what matters the most is the exposure, your monthly installments, and how you're maintaining those accounts. Of course, the less accounts you have with a good credit record like that, it does have a little bit of, should I say, push up or bump up for you, because the accounts are less, the exposure is less, just like this person. The balance exposure, remember the previous person was 1.1 million. This person's balance exposure is 84,000. Their monthly installments are 4,000. The previous one, the monthly installments was 30-something thousand. Now, of course, income is also taken into account when now the creditors look into exposure, because this person might only have these little debts because they only earn not too much income, and the other person might have that amount of debts because they earn a lot of income. So it is not income related. We've had clients from 2,000 rands a month to hundreds of thousands rands income per month. And when the one statement that comes out of their mouths every time when they realize they can't do something or they can't balance their finances, all they say and always is that I wish I earned more, even 10 times more. Now imagine the person who's earning 200,000 saying the same thing that the person who's earning 2,000, which is 100 times less than them. And that's why it all comes down to one thing: behavior. So these things are based only on financial behavior. Affordability is only considered upon granting of the credit, which that you are looking for. In this instance, when you are buying that property, then they look at affordability based on your income. But your credit score has got nothing to do with your income. So as little or as much as you earn right now, you can be able to work, and it is your responsibility to keep a good credit score. There they are. There's the summary of the accounts. The last inquiries were last year. You understand? This person is not active making inquiries on their thing. And here are the accounts. Here are the accounts. The highest is just the car, which is also new, which is a car finance from the bank, and there's a clothing account, and there's another clothing account, and there's a cell phone account, and that's it. And basically, you need between 3 and 4 accounts for the creditors to can pick up your credit profile. Now, then we move on to another element, because we understand how the credit records work. Then now we move to another element, which then this element is an element of, I'm trying to find the best words to put it, because I'm talking to intellectuals here. This is to say you are building you're building up a credit record, and you're building up a smart credit record. I can put it like that. You need between 2 and 3 accounts. Those accounts must be different. Those accounts must be from different sectors or industries or different types of credit, and they must carry weight. Now, what could those accounts be? Those accounts could be, or those credit agreements could be, a credit card. Why a credit card? Because a credit card is the quickest cash anybody can use when they're in trouble. It is not a clothing account where you can only buy clothes with it. It is not a cell phone account where you can only make calls with it. When you need any type of cash, you have access to it. So how you would treat it tells the bank or the credit providers how is your behavior with money. Secondly, the clothing account. Why? Because generally people are consumers. People like nice things, pretty things, beautiful things, dipahlo, dikai, clothes, things that will make people feel good, because everybody wants to feel good. So the accredited providers know that. That is why in all the shops you will see, walk through the mall, they will tell you, open an account now, pay later. Or you open an account, you get 2,000 rands worth of free clothing or credit. They just want you to come in and they capture. Once you are in, you will discover that 1,000 or 2,000, you do not get it at the time you open for free. What you have access to when you open for free is the limit that they've approved you for. But that free clothing for 1,000 or 2,000, they spread it out in vouchers over a period of 3 to 6 months so that you keep buying. They are getting you to be credit active, credit hungry. They are calling you. So now if then you can control that, then that means you are good. Lastly is the cell phone, because everybody wants to call and people want to talk for longer. The more people know that they do not have a limit on their phone calls they can make, the longer they talk. They don't think about their airtime. You can ask, even check, even with people. Yeah, you can even check with people that have got these unlimited phone contracts. When you call them or when they call you, or they don't have issue with airtime, you can ask any questions. They keep talking, no troubles. But now, if then you are, it requires, let me put it like that, it requires a great amount of discipline. Because other people who do that have just got contracts, and at the end of the month, they pay 5,000, 8,000, 10,000. So they look at your contract. How are you managing it? How are you doing things like that? So those are the key things that help you then to keep a good and to build a good credit record. With the other ones I was mentioning as I was going through the credit scoring, you pay your accounts on time every month. You pay everything that you need to pay when it is needed to be paid. And what you can do with your credit card, let's say you don't need a credit card now, I leave cash, but I need to build up a credit record. All you do, you open the credit card, you go and buy with it. If you're going to buy a shirt, you go buy a shirt with your credit card, you walk out of the shop, with less than a month, you go pay that money back into your credit card. You have used your credit card, it's active, but you've not paid any interest. So therefore, you've got it active. Now, as we are approaching our finishing time in closing, I am going to show you the benefits or the difference in things in terms of people, in terms of their payments. When your credit record is good, what does it do in terms of payments practically? Okay, but as I'm heading towards that, I want to start here first. The financial systems are created in a way that you cannot be over indebted, neither can you be under indebted. If you were to do any of those two, you will then be thrown off and the banks will not approve you. So what then, how then do you strike the balance? Because when you're over indebted, you can't be financed. When you're under indebted, you can't be financed. And why? The reason for the over indebted, we all know, is because NCR is in place, or NCA, the National Credit Act, that is then prohibiting the credit providers to give you credit beyond a certain amount. And for property, it is mostly given, it is worked out currently at 30% of your current gross income. So you will not be approved for a home loan that is beyond 30% of your current gross income, unless again, your affordability is good and you are buying now. So that could be worked around. But nonetheless, if you have too little credit or now no credit record, the credit providers cannot trust you. And the reason they cannot trust you is because, remember, for the bank to give you money, they are not being nice people, or they are not just being kind people. It is also business for them. They are hoping to make money out of you. That's simple. Go back to the example of the client that was approved today that I had made earlier on. That person got the property for 650,000. If that person pays that property and waits only for 20 years to pay it, their final installment, after they say after 20 years, I've paid, they would have paid the bank over 1.3 million. And that is the amount of money that the bank would have made out of that person. From 650 to 1.3, it is more than double, ladies and gentlemen, that the banks make. So the banks are not doing you a favor. That is why that should give you enough confidence to negotiate the deal, because they also want the deal. So now when they're giving you a home loan, They are giving you a home loan hoping to make maximum money out of you. Now, if you do not have an account or you keep closing your accounts quicker than you should be paying, they can't trust you because then they feel like, this person is going to use us to get this property and pay it off in a year. So therefore, no, we will not finance them because they don't have a track record. So that's why when you are under indebted, the banks cannot trust you. They do not give you. They're mostly for property. Cars and everything else you'll be granted with no credit history at all. But property, definitely not. Which is, again, like I said, on the other side, when you're over indebted, they look at everything. They say, no, sorry, it's a 20-year term. If you're already cannot keep up with a clothing account that is 12 or 24 months, how much more when something is 10 times the duration? Therefore, we cannot trust you. All right. I hope that makes sense. And I know that is possibly where most questions might come in, if there might be questions. I'm going to share this screen that shows you exactly the difference for the person who bought previously and who's buying now in terms of installments. Now, should I buy or should I rent or buy when it's cheaper to buy? Now, here is the amount, the examples. 500,000. The person, if you buy for a property of 500,000 now, you are paying 4,100 a month. Now, I'm going to put this into perspective. But before I do, I'm going to change it over to what was it before the lockdown, because the interest rate dropped twice during the lockdown. Before the lockdown, we would have paid 4,800 rents. What can 500,000 buy? 500,000 can buy many flats. It can buy freestanding houses, depending on the suburbs, but mostly Kokasi. And there's nothing wrong with that. But this is the difference. Now, listen, if you have a flat, you've got levies to pay, which are for the body corporate, for the maintaining of the common areas, and you've got rates and taxes that you're paying to the local or municipality. That 700 rands, ladies and gentlemen, can immediately be able to cover one of those things, your rates and taxes or your levies. So that is a big savings. Now, most of the people are paying rent. What place can you get, honestly, 4,000 rent a month for rentals? Some one-bedroom flats. Yes, you can get a full house, a luxury. But in town, some one-bedroom flats. You get that for a two-bedroom flat, people start to raise their eyebrows. Where is it? Is it good? Is it, you understand? Because of the amount. However, this 500,000 rents today can buy you a two-bedroom flat today. Now, the people who are currently paying rent for a two-bedroom flat are paying 5,500. Now tell me, please, ladies and gentlemen, which one is cheaper to do today? To rent or to buy? It is a straightforward mathematics. It also helps because the rental income, by the way, when you are buying for an investment, the rental income does not change. It does not drop because of the lockdown in the economy. So the people that are in a one-bedroom, in the two-bedroom flat that you can buy for 500,000, that are paying 5,000 or 5.5 or whatever the amount today, when you own it, they're still going to pay that amount. So just by buying now, it's the easiest time, ladies and gentlemen, to make property sales right now, or purchases or investments. I can't describe it more than this. Previously, before the lockdown, when the interest rates were high, which is the normal property textbook that people do things and they get shown when they have not learned the street smart of things, is that it will take you to buy a two-bedroom flat or anything and you put a normal tenant. It will take you at least 2 years to get your deal to be a day one deal, which is the deal that I describe as the deal that gives you profit immediately. Because of now, the current economy and the interest rate, the same deal that it would normally take 2 years, if you've got a normal tenant in a normal apartment, everything normal. You did not put any effort, you did not put more people, you did not just a normal thing. Just when you buy now a two-bedroom flat, the person who's paying 5.5, you will be able to make a deal, a day one deal, just in a normal purchase. Where with the tenants that are there, without them moving out, while they are still there, because no one can move out now, of course, they can now up until the 7th of June, as the minister said last night. Beyond that, without anyone moving out, it will still be a good deal from day one. You have not even cracked your skull on how you're going to make it effective. You have not even thought of how you're going to make it profitable. It is a good deal. So with those words, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you for your time. I hope today you have been inspired to go and work on your credit record. I hope today you have been, your eyes have been opened in a way that have never been before, for you to be able to make a deal and a purchase right now. And I hope you take the necessary calculated risk. We can help you to do that during this time. We have already done so with people that have bought places they have not even seen, and yet they're about to earn money from them. We know how to structure such a deal that the person is protected and not wake up after the lockdown, the house is dilapidated. This is the best time to make the deals. Now, work on your credit record continuously so that you can get the best deals. Thank you very much. Over to you, Madam T, for questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Dlali, for that. I think it was straightforward and in layman's terms for everyone to understand. Otherwise, if there's any questions that you have, you're welcome to raise your hand right now or go to the comment section and ask your question. Okay, so far we have 2 questions. The first one is, after paying your debt and you have finished and closed the account, how long does it take for that to reflect on your credit score?
Okay. That is mostly dependent. Can everybody hear me? Okay, cool. That is mostly dependent on each credit provider. However, according to law, credit providers and credit bureaus are supposed to update their profiles, people's profiles, every 30 days. And they normally do this on the 7th of each month. So yesterday, people that paid their accounts on Monday, and they did everything properly, and the credit providers lifted or uploaded the information into the credit bureau, today their credit score is different. And those are some of the things that that knowledge that is generally not public, that we work with and that we use to help our clients rehabilitate their credit score much quicker. I hope that answers the person.
Okay, the person is, I think we can give them like a second to say yes, they answered, or have a follow-up.
Okay.
I see that they're still.
Thank you so much, Tiam.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Zekisa. Okay, the other question, oh, I love this, questions are coming in. The second question that I'm going to read is, how do I maintain my profile if I can't keep on going to check it, especially when you want to move from bad to excellent credit record?
You maintain it by doing the right thing. You pay your account on time, you pay the amount that is requested, and you make sure that the money gets to the people for them to update your credit record on time. So if we go further, if the account is due on the 30th, I would recommend you pay 2 to 3 days before. Now, what happens then when your income comes in on the 30th? Then in the future, you make all your payments to be due 7 days after you get your money, to be due. It doesn't mean you must pay them at that time, because if you wait and pay them at that time, life happens. You will chow the money. But if then you have made it in such a way that there's a 7-day grace period, should you have been busy, and if you pay it on time, you are giving the credit provider enough time to load your information on time, and it will reflect that you have paid early. You understand? It will reflect that you have paid early, whereas in fact you actually did not, because you paid after you got your money. But because you had set up your things in such a way that they only update, or you are supposed to only be a late payer after you've paid on the 7th, but if you pay early, then it updates. So you do that. And then depending on how, this is the second part of the answer, on what credit rehabilitation you are in. If you are doing self-rehabilitation, then it's okay. You then just do that. But then if you are doing a customized one, which is what we do as well, then we get to guide you and just tell you one thing that you need to do. We tell you once off. We don't tell you many times. We tell you once off, and then what we do, we just check. Because the reason we tell people once off what to do and you just check if you are keeping up and all those things, we are also trying to help you to pick up new habits without anyone watching over you. Because we're not just helping you, we're preparing you for great investments in future to come. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm just going to give a few seconds for Mrs. Tato to tell us if she's satisfied or if she has a follow-up question. Okay. The message, she said she's satisfied. Thank you. Okay, I see one last question. Before I look at this question, I just want to apologize to everyone. We said that we'll be done by 1:30, and now it's 8 minutes over. So I just want to apologize for that. If you guys allow, please, can we just look at this one last question and then we can adjourn as soon as possible. Okay, so on the comment section, everyone is happy, they're thankful, and then there's a comment. The person doesn't have a name, I'm sorry, I just see a link there. They say, my mother-in-law is a pensioner this year and she's looking for a house as she's getting her payout soon. I think that's more of a someone who needs assistance,
Okay.
just like the other.
Even though it's not a question, we will assist you, definitely. I just want for everyone else to hear this. That's why I'm answering it or making a comment, though it is not a question. We have done a lot of these, like a countless lot of these. At some point, we were being invited by many companies and government institutions to bring us in before people go on pension. So I want to commend you first and foremost for thinking about this. Because what happens is with planning and budgeting, money is better used when you pre-plan and pre-budget for it before. That is the key, ladies and gentlemen, before it hits your account. Somebody said a statement and I laughed because it was strange but true. They didn't find it funny, but I laughed because I'd seen it more than enough. This person said, I was waiting for money last night. The money came at 12 midnight and the plans immediately changed. And I couldn't sleep anymore. And I couldn't just close my eyes. I couldn't stop looking at my phone. I couldn't stop logging into my account. I couldn't stop, because that's what money does. Only when you have not planned for it before it comes. So what you are saying and what you are doing and what you are helping your mother to do or your parent to do, it is actually wise. We will be able to assist you with that, and we will be in touch with you and we'll be able to assist you with that. Great idea. What we've done as well for some pensioning people that have taken out all their money instead of, because there are two ways of pensioning, is when you go on pension, you only get a third of your money and the rest is invested. And there's a way of resigning where you get your whole money. So what we do for those that took all their money or that have got enough on their third of their pension, we then help them to create an income to replace the previous income through property while increasing in asset and value. That will be able to keep up and beat inflation, because remember, rental income increases with every year by 10%, and inflation currently is 6.something%. So we beat the inflation by far, we beat everything by far, and yet we make sure that person's future is secured and they are living well for generations to come. Thank you very much.
Awesome. There's another question. Hopefully we can be done here by 1:45. Just 4 minutes to go. Tandiwe says, is it a myth or is it true that if you pay a bond in 2 installments, one before the amount is due and the other when the amount is due, meaning if you split it in half and half, if your bond is 10,000, you would pay 5,000 on the 23rd and another 5,000 by the 31st. She didn't finish the question. I'm not sure what the question is, but I see you laughing, so I assume you know what she's saying.
Yes, I know what she's saying. And it is a new topic. When we start getting to this, it will be technical. We already have gone over with time. Can I kindly ask Sister Ndiwe that you continue tuning in with us? We will also engage with you offline concerning this. It is detailed, it is very technical. There are different ways that go with it, time frames. It is basically customized. It only works when it's customized. But we are going to address it as well as one of the things in the future. One of the weeks we will be talking about how to pay your bonds faster and how to tackle your credit and how to stay ahead so that when tough times hit, you are ahead already. All right, I think that's it, and let's not take any further questions. People have already given us a couple of minutes grace, and let's not take any further of their time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for. Okay, thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Please remember that we have new topics every week, and if you would like to connect with page, and if you would also like to join us on our YouTube channel, maybe you want to keep up with the previous seminars that we have done, please go to our YouTube channel. It is also YDT Group. Just please subscribe and catch yourself up on the topics that we have already done. Over to you, Mr. Tlali.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. Thank you for tuning in. We take our time and we take a lot of effort in putting this together. And we appreciate that you appreciate them. Please give us feedback, comments, anything that you'd like to say about the webinars. And please be in touch with us and stay tuned. It's happening every week. Invite as many people as possible so that they can also learn and they can develop going forward. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. You can exit. Okay, Mr. Tlali, I believe that.
Thank you. I needed to take a picture. Thank you.
Yes, that is fine. Everyone is welcome to leave. Guys, please remember we are on Facebook. We are also on YouTube, YDT Group. Please subscribe, like our page, and you're more than welcome to email us at any time. Inquiries at ydtgroup.co.za. Thank you, everyone.